Hey!
Oh, music.
Yeah, right?
That is the only lyric on today's show.
That's right. So we're going to talk about it for a while. What do you think I meant?
Hmm. It's like a greeting, but it's also like a return. Like
Oh,
you're gone, and then you were gone longer than people thought you'd be gone. So when you came,
hey.
you felt obligated.
Yeah,
Give them a little something.
yeah, that's good analysis. Well, good night, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
It is episode what? Can you remember it all?
107.
104, but we have not recorded at least 3 weeks.
I did three without you.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't
I
wait.
know. Not good.
I'll, I'll finally watch one. Uh,
All 3 hours long.
Yeah, right. And it's still a lot of meandering.
Still a lot of meandering. Still a lot of like your jokes from your stand-up.
Oh, I'm glad somebody's hearing them. That's good.
I brought him in.
Uh, I
We
was doing
been off the air for a little while.
so many things happened.
So many things happened. We moved to a new house, which means there a lot of more things have to happen.
Yeah,
We had one niece visiting from North Carolina. Then we had a different niece visiting from Illinois,
nice.
and we went to see the musical Illinois.
Did you? How was it?
It was really good.
Nice.
And then we went to see Hadestown, which was fine. And we went to the Guggenheim. So many things happened.
That's
What
great.
happened to you?
So a couple things. Well, we missed one week because I got wicked sick.
Oh yeah, was it Kobe? Or you don't
I
know?
I thought that it was, and then what I concluded was it was probably just plain old food poisoning
Oh,
because of how fast it went away.
okay.
And it coincided with I had cooked myself some eggs in the morning, and so I'm eating a lot of protein. So I'm on a something very much like a keto
Uh-huh.
diet, and it's working amazingly well. And
Right.
I've had to reintroduce carbs to slow down my weight loss because I'm like, okay, well, that's enough.
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
done. I'm done. I'm skinny enough. So now I've gotten to reintroduce carbs, which is nice. Good Lord, I missed those.
Yeah, carbs are fucking the best.
Yeah, but I'm not like going crazy. I'm not like doing the old thing where I just bounce back.
Yeah, just like slowly working them in.
Well, and also the ones that I'm eating are better than what I would have eaten before.
Gotcha.
So, well, better is subjective. Are they as delicious? No, they aren't.
Okay. So what's like a boring carb that's come back?
Well, just like any good root vegetable, like a potato
Oh,
or a sweet potato or a murasaki,
sweet potatoes pretty great.
they are great. Yeah.
I love them.
But I'm not frying them and not, well, they're fine. They're not, don't get me wrong, they're delicious. It's just, Lord, do I love pasta.
Oh yeah.
Lord, do I love it with a passion unbridled.
It's a high level of difficulty.
Yeah. So I'm not eating a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's not like I'm never going to eat it, but it's just, you know. Anyway, so whatever I ate in the morning, I got really wicked sick. And then I thought, oh no, this feels like it might be COVID. But then everything feels like COVID.
Sure. It really has been in the forefront.
It's so silly. It's like, do you have COVID do I have COVID or am I just kind of sad?
Yeah. And ultimately, what's the difference?
Right, absolutely. So I was stunned that like within a day and a half, I was like, oh, I'm fine now.
Huh. Yeah. Them went through the system.
Yeah, weakened for sure. Just because I couldn't really eat proper at all. And you can't exercise, can't go to the gym and all that nonsense. So that sucked. That genuinely sucked.
Genuinely, that's real bad shit.
Yeah. I so speaking of gym jokes, you mentioned gym jokes. I did a joke the other night at open mic that was just doing a little workout room, and I could hear in the back a comedian go, "Oh, that joke is lovely."
Oh, that's nice.
And he meant it. It's a guy, it's just very, and I think it's a lovely joke too. It's a very nice new piece that's really nicely put together and well written. And I know it's good and it's accessible and stuff. I'm like, oh, well, that was nice because I'm preparing for a bigger show where I want that to be in the for money show, but I always want to make sure those stuff, all the like pieces
Yeah.
work.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's lovely, it's clean, it goes somewhere a little different than you thought it would in the beginning, which is nice. Just feels like good writing to me, and I like it when that happens.
Yeah, that's a nice feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those that it just I feel like it's pretty close to bulletproof. I think you have to have five of those in a set,
Yeah. And how long is the set?
like 45-minute set.
Oh yeah.
You really need five that are bulletproof so that the ones that aren't, the ones that are also good, but then have their detractors or have people who may not be going along for the ride, well, they'll go for the ride because they liked the thing.
They know you can do it.
Yeah.
Bulletproof.
It's fascinating how the order of the joke makes such a wicked difference.
Oh yeah. Everything's a factor.
Yeah, everybody talks about sticking the landing, and I'm like, no, man, stick the beginning and everything else is fine.
Yeah. Stick all the parts if you can.
Yeah, yeah,
By all
absolutely.
means, stick as much as you can.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely. But like in comedies, people always like the sports analogies, but they don't work because in sports, I get stick the landing because you're tired and it's at the end.
Right.
In comedy, it's they like me now, so the landing's going to be so much easier anyway.
Right. And I'm free in the interim.
Yeah, it's really hard to fuck up the end.
Right. Yeah.
Unless if you are, say, Nate Bargatze, right, and you're having a great set, and then at the very end you just for no reason said something wildly anti-Semitic. Okay, okay, you that was
That's
weird.
yeah, so you missed the landing, but
Yeah,
yeah. All you gotta do is land, really. You don't have to stick it.
yeah. I have so many people go, I don't understand why he said that thing about Mango. What?
And right at the end.
Yeah, he was being so. He didn't curse. He was fine, and then.
Yeah, well, should have
So
stuck the middle.
you write news jokes a lot.
Sadly, yes.
Here's an observation of mine that I had today. And I'm not pitching a joke to your show. I'm not doing that. This is just an observation. When I was a kid, when I was like, say, 5 or 7, somewhere in that area, I started my own newspaper to distribute in my neighborhood.
Great.
And the way that I came up with stories is I read the regular newspaper and I wrote my version of those stories. So that was me doing the being a reporter, saying, I heard this thing from the, you know,
Yeah.
Tucson Daily Times, whatever it was.
Right.
And
What's
that's
your
of course,
the newspaper?
yeah. So that's of course very silly.
Yes.
People are now making a living doing fucking that.
Oh yeah. And
That's
they
not right.
it's not certainly not ideal.
It's so
Um,
strange.
well, they gave themselves the cool name of aggregator.
Right.
So now they're like, oh, well, that's now it's a legitimate field if it has that cool long name.
The YouTubers who there'll be a thing like Jamie Raskin takes down Comer, or and that, by the way, is the title most of the time for most of the videos. It's about Jamie Raskin and Comer, because
Sure.
and it makes sense. Super smart guy,
Yep.
dumb as a fucking brick. Comer,
Yep. Who's taking down who? The smart guy.
yeah. And by the way, I would say Raskin would beat him in a fist fight too. Hold on.
I think you're right.
I just there's Raskin's got Comer just garbage. But anyway, it'll be that video, and all it'll be is like 3 minutes of Jamie Raskin being great.
Yup, like you do.
Yeah, with his current cancer hair, which is a whole thing, which is fascinating. Good for him. I'm glad he beat cancer. It's a real thing, by the way. Cancer, your hair grows back different. Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
I watched a video by this guy who's actually an educator who had gone through cancer, and he did a whole video. He said, I want to talk about my hair. It's never been curly. Now it is. Why is that? And they went into all of the why in recovery.
Wow.
It was really cool.
Huh. I've seen it happen
Yeah.
on some cancer friends.
And it's always the best case because that means they're recovering. Yeah.
Yes.
And they can now play Annie.
Or they're kicked out, depending on which way it goes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because you're like, you're not, you might be a little too old and a dude. But so there's this little bit that's Jamie Raskin and Comer, and the rest of it is this personality saying, did you hear what he said? Wasn't that great what he said? And wasn't it dumb what that other guy said? Ugh.
Yeah.
Why does this exist?
I think the same reason your newspaper existed when you were a kid. You were like, oh, I may pull some attention towards myself.
But people knew enough not to buy my paper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the real problem is that the audience exists.
Yeah. I'm like, so pay me. I'll put out a newspaper, you humps. Pay me.
I mean, I'll watch the news for you.
Yeah, I'll watch the news. I'll tell you exactly what they said, more or less. That's the other great part.
Yeah, I'll leave some stuff out, but you don't need that.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's the thing is now they can curate what the news is, and there'll be a bunch of news you never find out about if that's your guy.
yep.
I used to have Huffington Post on my phone, and I would check that all the time because I figured, oh, it's a good overview of what's going on in the news. And kind of just got really just the last few weeks. I was like, hey, if they leave a lot of stuff out from
Yeah.
the actual news, it's just a lot of stuff that they want me to know.
Yep.
Like, oh, that's not great. I'm going to go straight to a, and by the way, CNN does that. They all do that. You have to go all the way to like Reuters or AP, or
Yeah.
even I like going to BBC World because it reminds you, oh, there's a world too. They'll do
And
10 minutes on something that's happening in Africa, and you're like, oh, I had no idea.
you're like, oh, right. Africa's a place.
Africa's a place. There's stuff going on there.
Yep.
Not a lot of it's not great.
Yeah.
Some of it is.
It's also really important that you hear the parts that are great because then you don't get that Western idea that it's all a wild jungle and you're because that kind of undercurrent of just light racism is still there.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
still,
The racism of just leaving it out.
yep,
It's like, yeah, it can't be interesting.
yeah, like it,
I know I'm still like surprised when there's a news story on the BBC and they're like, here in the capital city, Addis Ababa or
yeah,
whatever. And you're like, oh, look at that. There's cars and shit. They have tall buildings. Huh. And then I'm like, of course they do, idiot.
yeah,
Where you're still thinking about like cartoons.
yeah. You're still thinking about Warner, yeah, yeah.
Shitty movie from the 60s. Oh,
And
they
even
got all we got.
even shitty movie that was well intentioned but still was just white savior horse shit.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, everyone has an incomplete picture.
Oh yeah. It reminds me when I was
Why buy into that and like try to
yeah,
force it the other way?
yeah. When I was a kid, I had a relative visit us from somewhere and wherever they lived, I don't know, but they were really taken aback by I grew up in Tucson, like you spent many your youth in Tucson. He was
Sure.
really taken aback by the fact that I didn't have a horse.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, huh. And we still do that.
Yeah.
Oh, every time we go to a city, like I've had people visit me here and they're like, oh, it's not dangerous. It's
Yeah.
not, I know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, you just like preconceived notions are inevitable and
Yeah.
unavoidable, especially with all the media we're being force fed.
Yeah.
I was
But
just watching the Biden make or break press conference
yeah.
before we started, and it wasn't going great.
No.
No,
Yeah.
wasn't. It's not going to change any of the conversation.
Yeah.
That's where I came down. I was like, well, the people who still like him are still going to like him, and the people who want him out will still want him out.
He he's
Nobody
really
will be talking about the Nazi he's running against.
he's really good at his fucking job. He's just not good at auditioning for his job, and he never
Not good at
was.
talking about his job. He's like an IT guy. Like they just let him do the computer. Don't make him talk to people.
I mean, people forget he wasn't good at doing this part when he tried to get the nomination that eventually went for Obama.
Yeah,
He described Obama as well spoken.
yeah,
He did all this stuff. He's always done that, but he's really good at the job.
good at the job. And that used to matter.
Yeah.
I really think TV has killed our society.
Yeah, it might have because going back to all the way back to Nixon Kennedy, and very famously, people who listened to the debate on the radio thought the Nixon won,
Right,
and the
right.
people who saw it on television thought that Kennedy won.
Even this most recent debate, waving at our producer, who is indoors. Um, this most recent debate, the people who watched it on TV thought Trump did better, and the people who read the transcript thought Biden did way better.
Yeah, because they were like, "Oh, see, the one guy saying the true things."
Yeah, yeah, and the other guy is, oh, he seems mean and dumb.
Yeah, and half the problem is when he says stuff like, "We have the greatest economy in the world." Hey, question asker, call him out on that.
Yeah, yeah. How about a follow-up?
How about do you mean when you shed a bunch of jobs and lives?
Yeah, was
Dingus.
that helpful? Yeah, there was no
Yeah.
push.
Now, quick question. Huh?
I want to know what your question is because it might be the same one I have.
What's the show about?
There was the same one. What's the name of this little program of ours? Because we didn't say it.
No,
No,
Alex and Jim
that's us.
and
Analyze Billy Joel. What? Lyrics.
lyrics, usually.
Usually. I I sometimes. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even usually. I would say we've been working pretty hard to avoid that for several episodes.
Yeah. Alex and Jim like Billy Joel.
Yep. And
That
then
could
they
be
talk
the
to
name
each
of the
other.
show. Alex and Jim enjoy each other's company. Alex and Jim sometimes struggle to retain a thought.
Alex and Jim don't get out much. That's not bad.
So I picked partly because I couldn't think of because I didn't have the list in front of me of what we have left of songs for one thing,
Right.
but then partly because I thought it would be interesting, and I actually did find it interesting to Alex and Jim this week are going to analyze Billy Joel's classical album,
Fantasies and Delusions,
Fantasies and Delusions, Volume One.
Volume 1. Yeah. What happened there?
Yeah, you know what I think really happened there. It turned out that's a lot more work than he remembered.
Yep, I'm guaranteed that happened. I also think it probably didn't sell.
Yeah. It
And then
actually sold 80. Well, I actually had the number. It sold like something like 80,000 copies, which isn't terrible.
terrible isn't what you're going for if you're a record company.
No.
Did
I
was it released on his was it Columbia?
Yeah, it's considered one of his studio albums. Like it's listed among those albums.
Ah, okay.
that feels like so Tom Hanks got to direct that thing you do because he's Tom Hanks.
Right.
Great movie, by the way.
One of the
Uh,
best.
this feels like, hey, I want to do this, and they're like, okay, you've done,
Okay. Yeah, you made us a lot of money.
yeah.
Sure.
I definitely think it's partly the work because he was approached to write to help compose some piano music for a full-on um, opera classical piece.
Uh-huh.
And he said, well, I got an idea. Why don't you take some from this album and use those and then compose around it, which is his way of saying, I don't want to do that.
No, I'm tired now.
So they did. They picked like four pieces from this, the classical album, volume one. And so I'm like, I think he went, no.
Yeah. And but you listening to it, you can tell like, oh, this was a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard.
It's interesting. So I actually wanted to know how well it was received critically
Yeah.
because I thought, well, I'm underqualified to analyze this, but I also have I care enough. I have enough of a grounding and understanding music, but I'm certainly not the expert. So I wanted to know, and it was actually received fairly warmly
Nice.
within the classical community. And they said something that actually addressed one of my thoughts about it, which is one of my initial thoughts is it doesn't feel like a complete piece.
Yeah.
And I hoped that it would.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what that would feel like to me.
It
I guess
it
it would have to
feels
be quotas.
Yeah, it feels like pieces of a, but it doesn't to me feel like an overarching, like every now and then I will listen to Mozart because it's very calming for me.
Sure.
And if you listen to any of his pieces or any of Beethoven's, and the one thing you get is it all feels like part of a greater whole.
Yeah. Yeah. This felt like snippets. And I guess that, maybe the title
Yeah,
hints at
yeah,
that. But yeah, it almost felt like some of it was just like, oh, this is just a song. Like a really pretty good old fashioned Billy Joel piano song
yeah,
about singing. A little more complex piano than you would normally get, maybe, but
yes.
similar vibes.
Yeah. And so one of the somebody who knows classical music said he made a wise choice in not being too ambitious and
Uh,
rather concentrated on just writing classical pieces that could stand alone. I was like, that's exactly what I was saying. Yay, I knew it. I knew it.
I nailed it. Yeah, it definitely didn't feel like super grandiose,
Yeah.
trying too hard, not trying to sound like anybody, although some of it was very Bach-y,
Yeah.
um, and Baroque.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, that's what he was raised on.
Hmm.
It's kind of classical stuff, so I'm sure he borrowed heavily, like he do.
Yep. I wonder because the one thing that's sort of missing, if anybody wants to listen to the album, I'll say the one thing that I felt was missing is I felt like where's the song that really goes big that, just because you have that in classical music, there'll be that piece that
Right.
really, really gets right in your blood and just,
Yep.
it, and you are carried along lightly and to that point.
Right.
And it almost feels like that's missing because there's a few moments where it starts to rise,
Uh-huh.
but it never quite.
It never like shakes you.
Yeah. And again, the title tells you maybe it wasn't meant to. I don't think that it's certainly not bad. I like the album. I think I would listen to it again. I may do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very like charming.
Yeah.
sort of calming and just like, all right, I feel like I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
Not worried about him. I don't.
Yeah.
It's
Now
not
I
like
have
a
some
press conference.
yeah, which you are worried. Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's got this.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I didn't feel like, oh, he missed his true calling.
No, no, for sure not. Not. Yeah,
The feeling I had. I was thinking about it when I started listening to it, and I was like, this might be his Chris Gaines. This is like Garth Brooks, very happy being a country star, but always secretly wanted to be a rock star and made enough money for his record company that they were like, okay, do it then.
yeah.
And it felt like, oh, he's Billy Joel's always showing off his piano chops and his composing chops, and it's like, I want to be a composer.
You know what's funny? I thought of a similar analogy, but mine was this feels to me like Billy Joel's Jordan in baseball,
It's very similar, yeah.
where
So
you
he was only doing this because he had gambling debts. He was secretly suspended.
yes, part and also where you were like, "Ooh, if you'd have done this from the very beginning, maybe you would have been great."
Sure. Never would have heard of you because I don't know any contemporary composers.
Right, for sure. And by the way, you wouldn't have heard of Jordan either because if Jordan had been amazing at baseball,
Yeah,
it's a different beast because being amazing at baseball means you were a really good piece of your team.
right. Yes.
There's only a few, and you have to do very specific things. You have to hit the most home runs ever forever.
Yep.
You have to most stolen bases, and even then, it's not going to be what he was as the
Yeah.
basketball player.
Not going to be top three in everything.
Right.
You'll be a top three hitter and the 58th best second baseman,
Would have had a shorter career.
33rd best base stealer. Still
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
but not the same and not the same status. Even the greatest baseball players, I don't think, because everyone knows all those caveats. Like, oh, well, Jeter, amazing. If it wasn't for the Yankees, though, how good would he have been?
Right.
Um, yeah, it is more, you're more of a cog.
Yeah. And basketball's a personality game too. Basketball's easier to sell just by the nature of the way it's played. You deal in just talk about the camera, you're dealing in so many more close-ups where you're really having this intimate view of the game.
Yup.
And baseball by its very nature, you're like, who's that? Who's that guy?
Yeah. And you're one of nine guys instead of one of five. So
Yeah.
your numbers game is against you.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah, yeah. And of course, the other thing is that baseball is fun to watch if you have a lot of patience, and I enjoy baseball, but
Yeah. I'm
seeing
finding it
guys,
relaxing lately.
huh?
I've been started watching Mets games
Oh, good,
because
nice.
no other sports right now. And it's like, oh, you know what? It is kind of pleasant. You don't get riled the same way you do watching basketball or football.
Yeah,
You don't get weird testosterone buzz. I'm
yeah,
just, oh, I'm just sort of watching. And then once in a while, something happens,
yeah.
but very often.
Somebody, a friend of mine said that the difference between, say, baseball and basketball was basketball is edge of your seat, baseball is back of your chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do love I would
Yeah.
love baseball more if I had the time to just go to live games because a live game makes you fall in love with the game over and over again.
Oh, sure. Well, then it's a whole day, and it's not the game is part of it, but
Yeah,
then people and weird food, and you're sitting in the sun, and there's
yeah.
so many little things that happen between. I mean, we learned that when we went to the Knicks game, like, oh, every time they go to commercial, there are people firing t-shirts at us, there's dancers. It's like, oh, there's a whole three-ring circus.
Yeah.
Can you hear the ice cream truck?
No, but I'm excited. Give me some ice cream.
So, oh, it was, yeah.
Ice cream truck.
Ah, thank God I didn't just drop my computer on the street.
Yeah. Oh man, this is an expensive show.
Ah,
So
uh,
on this album,
anyway,
slight diversion. Yesterday, I went to see Harry Connick Jr. live, which was amazing.
great.
And I love piano players, and I know you love piano players too.
Absolutely.
And watching Harry Connick Jr., I was reminded of the wildly different ways a person can make music from that little box.
Yeah.
And the style that Harry Connick Jr. plays is sometimes called ragtime.
Yeah.
It's often called stride.
Stride.
It's what it's called,
That
the
I
New
didn't.
Orleans style. And I was like, what does that mean? Well, here's what it means. Your left hand plays both bass notes and jumps back and forth to high notes, which is very
Oh,
difficult. So it jumps from the left to the right of the piano constantly,
okay.
which is what gives it that lively, bouncy feel, that ragtime feel.
Oh,
So then I was thinking
didn't
about
know.
the art of playing classical music, which is on display in this album, juxtaposing it with how weird it is that it is such a different skill set. And that I guarantee you that the guy who played this album, by the way, it wasn't Billy Joel. He wrote it, did not play piano on it.
Okay. Yeah,
Did you
that's
know
right.
that?
I did know that. Yes. I forget the guy's name.
Because he felt like he wasn't up to the task anymore, which is good to be self aware, or he's just insecure. I don't know. But
It was more hours that he didn't want to put in.
yeah. But I was thinking, I guarantee you that that classical pianist couldn't just master that stride style.
Oh, yeah. So I think you don't just learn the piano. You
Yeah.
learn ragtime or you learn classical. I mean, I think pop is probably a lot easier.
Yeah.
I don't think Billy Joel would be as good a pop writer if he hadn't been classically trained.
True.
Um, I don't know what Elton John's deal was. He must have been classically trained as
He
well.
was. He was. They were the same thing. They were nerds as kids who were
Yeah,
hours and hours and hours of solitude and then became big giant guys.
I
Which
don't
is,
think anybody's like pop trained on a
yeah.
piano.
Yeah, if they are, they're the ones that kind of suck a little bit
Yeah, yeah.
because they don't have a foundation. It's like comedy. People who do comedy and don't know history about comedy are often you're like, oh boy,
Right.
you'd be
Learn your
funnier if
comedy
you.
from TikTok.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, you got to know your Carlin.
Yep. Yes.
Damn it.
So I'm listening to this, and I will. So there's a song called, I believe it's by Cole Porter, called "You Do Something to Me." Do you remember that
Oh
song?
yeah, beautiful song.
You do something to me. Da, 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 da. Um, Carousel off this classical album. I listened to it a couple times to see if I'm right. I think I'm right. I
Pretty cool.
feel like this is a lot of quite a little bit borrowed or influenced from You Do Something to Me.
Ooh, I didn't pick that up, but I'll have to try it.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty for some things like that'll jump out at me for some damn reason. Now, there's not that many notes. So,
Yeah. That's why I can never understand the lawsuits. Uh, like, oh, you stole that melody. Uh, did you?
yeah.
It's just similar because
Yeah.
there's so many notes, and they don't all go together. Only
Yeah.
certain notes go together.
Oh yeah, there's so many notes that do not belong together. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the band Fountains of Wayne, which you may know.
I don't think so, but
I think you might love it.
let me
Um,
write it down.
but a lot of what they do is reminiscent of the Cars. It's the song Stacy's Mom.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When I first heard that, I thought like, oh, this is a Cars song that I'd never heard somehow. And it's not, but they use the same chords in the same order. Like, but
Yeah.
yes, that is a lot of stuff. I don't understand how you parse it out to a lawsuit. I would love to pay attention to one of those trials at some point
Yeah.
and see like how do they present this to the jury.
Yeah. It seemed half the time I think the only way you win is if, well, it just better be just almost completely the same because I agree. Otherwise, a good defense is oftentimes where they go, okay, well, if this is stolen, here's this classical piece
Right. That you stole yours from.
that you got yours from. So
So what are we doing here, folks?
why did we even come here today?
I love that in every law show and movie. What are we doing here, folks?
Mine, I like the other one where the prosec it's you sometimes it's the defense, but where one of the lawyers for a moment it's like, oh, he's agreeing with the other side, and then he's got the twist.
Right. What?
I
What's
bet
he doing
that
out there?
I
Oh,
bet that never happens. I bet.
I bet you're right.
He'd be so mad. He'd be like, wait, why are you agreeing with the thing they're saying?
I have a couple of friends who are in the medical industry, and it's great to talk to them about medical TV shows. And I would love to have a lawyer friend, but I don't. Very friendly. Um, but it's so great to be like, I saw this on House. Is that real? And more often than not, they're like, yes, but
Yeah,
yes, that could happen.
yeah,
Won't ever, but theoretically it could.
yeah.
Or many will be like, yeah, that's true. That was based on a thing that actually happened.
It's very funny too. The other thing they will often say, because I've talked to people where they'll go, yes, but also man, they really have some good machines that we can't afford.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're like, the medicine is believable. The hospital isn't.
Yeah, the hospital has things I've heard of. I think it was House was one of the shows where they had a piece of equipment, like a real piece of equipment that they loaned to a hospital because it's useful to a real doctor.
The hospital didn't have it, but the TV show did.
Damn TV show did.
Well, those days are over. When nobody's got those budgets anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That is very
Maybe
true.
the Apple shows.
Yeah, there's a. I'm not gonna. No, it's too much. We keep going. I'm now about to start to talk about a BBC sketch show for no reason. But anyway,
Eh,
I liked this album. It's interesting. It doesn't. Again, the only thing I will say is it doesn't feel complete.
yep.
And
Pieces.
yeah, and there are like Vienna. We all like Vienna. Vienna, when I'm in the mood to actually concentrate and just truly listen rather than just have music in the background, it can still move me. I can
Yeah.
still feel some emotional resonance and truth. Um, and I don't get anything like that from this album, which is sometimes you'll get from a classical piece, but I don't get anything that feels like it got in my blood.
Yeah. Nothing moves you necessarily. Vienna is the one song I think you could take all the singing out of, and it would slide pretty nicely into this album.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
And that's intentional. I think it's obviously it's a song about his father, who was quite the composer.
Yeah. That's a perfect song in so many ways, lyrics and music actually matching perfectly. And I think you're absolutely right. Hearing the
Like
live,
that connects the two sides of him.
yeah, yeah. And probably the closest to a truly no horseshit autobiographical thing about him, where it's like, this absolutely is how I feel about the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it always comes down to talking about Vienna.
That's how you know it's good.
Alex and Jim analyze Vienna. That's the name of the show. But yeah, I don't hate it. Let's see. There were some notes I found interesting about the album. So let's see. Fantasies and Delusions.
Volume 1.
Yeah, the actual quote is the critic said the album is a nice collection of pleasingly modest melodic solo piano pieces, which
Fair.
is interesting. And something that you said is he seems to agree while retaining the recognizable melodic flair of his pop work.
Yeah.
Not they are not pieces you'll wind up humming, but among the best. Very interesting. The Waltz for Lola, I liked. Lola's his daughter, right?
No, I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I don't think he has a Lola daughter, does he? He has an Alexa.
Yeah.
He might at this point. I stopped counting children.
Yeah.
It must be.
Yeah, the strong opinions I had was Nunley's Carousel, which I really do feel like is just like that feels a little like there's some Cole Porter in there. And it ends nice. Dublin-esque is pretty great. I don't, but what did it say? I want to see how many it sold because you had brought that up. It reached number 83 on the Billboard chart, which feels like
Oh,
more than I would have thought.
more than I would have thought. That's probably what you get from just Billy Joel fans automatically getting the next thing.
Yep.
It probably gets you
Richard
the three.
Richard Hung Kee Joe is the name of the guy who played piano.
Right. And what has he done since?
Exactly. I hope somebody had the thing that has happened to you and to me happen with this album, which is somebody who had just discovered Billy Joel. And they're like, oh, I like Billy Joel. I'm going to go get any old album. I'm sure I'll like all of them. And they
Oh,
happen to buy this one,
great.
which happened to me with Elvis. I told you that story. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. It happened to me with Bob Dylan. I was like, oh, I'll just get a random Bob Dylan, and it was his Jesus album.
that was me and Elvis. I got his damn gospel album or gospels album. I'm like, oh, this is not what I wanted.
And then I
Hey,
got that "Free to Be You and Me" album because it had the one Billy Joel song on it.
what was on there?
Uh, it wasn't "Free to Be You and Me." It was a similar, but it had "I Got a Friend" on it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, look at this album! It has a Billy Joel song on it. Great. Oh, it's all children's songs, and most of them stink.
Yeah, so I've wasted quite a bit of money here.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Even at a nice price.
even a nice price. That's right.
Price
Oh, if you're
sticker.
old enough to remember the nice price, where
You're
they
old enough to be on this podcast.
where they ruin the album cover by just slapping a
Oh,
sticker on it that says a nice price on it.
it's like they aimed for the worst place to put the sticker.
Yeah. And it had used to be in shrink wrap, but it wasn't anymore, and it just said nice price on it, and you were
Right.
just,
Stick it in the bin.
yeah, like another can of beans.
Ah, cops.
Oh, nice. Well, okay, so overall we like it, but
Yeah,
we don't
pleasant.
love it.
I would put it on if there was a dinner party. I
And it
don't know.
is, yeah,
It doesn't command your attention.
it is absolutely a testament to his talent, though. It really is that he's a versatile fella.
Absolutely.
Because that's quite a big lift, I will
It
say.
made me sort of happy for him that he did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did probably feel kind of a sense of completion about life. And I
Ben, I
did
wonder
this.
how he thinks about it now.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up something while we're chatting just to make sure it's available. Oh, I
Hmm.
got a spam call. That's fun. That's
I'll
fun.
have some of those.
Did I? I'm seeing, did I email you or text you the list of songs that are still available?
I don't think. Maybe either. Maybe you did neither of those.
Remember I delivered you the list?
You might have just brought it with you.
Oh, maybe. Well, I hope it
Let
was
me
smart.
see. Let me see if you did. Oh, you guys, it's dead air.
Well, I'll let them look at the pictures to see if they can guess.
Oh boy, I don't know if they'll have any luck.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the list. Nope, I don't have it.
Well, then what we'll do is when you pick the song, do stab in the dark of hopefully we haven't talked about it. That's fine. And then I'll reassemble the list. So,
All right. That's a foreign clown.
yep. I mean, he's even country appropriate.
The British clown?
No,
Nope. Wait, is
no,
he in Leningrad?
yes. Yeah, that is a famous Russian clown.
Fucking dude from the song Leningrad, and I can't remember the lyric exactly.
Yeah, he became a circus clown.
That's right.
Yeah,
I remember the footage of him meeting that dude.
yeah. I think Russia's about the only place left in the world, maybe France, that can unironically enjoy a clown.
Yeah, probably true. There's not much else going on
Yeah,
entertainment wise in Russia, I would think. Probably a lot of classical music
yep.
and
Well, their comedies are sour things, which is kind of great.
as it should be, and will be again here, I'm sure.
I
So,
also love how barely a clown he is.
yeah, that's my favorite kind of clown. I don't like full coverage.
Yeah, that's
Just
just the
nose and a kind of shitty hat, like you might almost wear.
yeah, where you could think to yourself, clown or wretched drunk.
Yeah, yeah. It just depends on how far away he is.
Yep. And I like that he looks like he's scolding someone.
Yeah, he's not making an effort to be like, I'm for kids.
Yeah,
It's like, I'm not for anyone.
yeah.
Go with me.
I'm going to take this balloon, and when it is done, it will still look like a balloon because it is a balloon.
Balloons are balloons and animals are animals.
That's the trick, is teaching you what things are. How many
Oh,
people could get in this car? Me and my clown wife. That's it.
that's it. Maybe our clown dog can be in the back seat
Yes.
if
If
we're
as
going to
long as
clown
it's
vet. We're gonna take our dog to the clown vet. Oh, Lord.
yes, I have a clown horn, but it's only for emergencies. I'm not, no, not right now.
Um, hey, do you know city and country where Billy Joel's father was born?
Oh, uh,
Father who went by Howard Joel, but whose real name will give away the country.
okay. So I'm going to say Italy.
No,
Okay. Hmm. Germany.
Germany.
Germany. That, okay. There you go. And I'm going to say Berlin.
He was born in a city that was very important at the end of World War II, actually after the end of World War II,
Ooh,
in which he was very much involved as a Holocaust survivor.
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's brutal. That's
brutal.
brutal.
Nuremberg.
Nuremberg. Wow.
He's from Nuremberg, Germany. Helmut Joel
Wow.
actually
One,
became an American soldier.
That's incredible. Here's my favorite World War II joke that I've written about Nuremberg. Hitler had a dog. I'll do the quick version. Hitler had a dog. You know this, right? And Hitler killed his own dog with poison because he wanted to make sure the poison was good,
Ooh,
because he wanted good poison for himself, because it was about towards the end when he was going to commit suicide.
zoinks.
I will just say you definitely have trust issues if you're not sure if people are giving you real poison.
Pretty great.
And I think it's very sad that he killed his dog, of course, because that would have been the cutest part of the Nuremberg trials.
When
So
did you know? When did you know it?
yeah. Who is complicit? You are. That's who. So my favorite jokes, just silly and dark,
Super
and
Hitler jokes.
yeah. There's some famous is a strong word, but known amongst comedians. Woman who wrote like the definitive book on how to do stand up, which means it's awful, of course.
Of course.
But one of the many things she says is you just shouldn't do a Hitler joke. Just which just means you heard too many. That's all that means.
Yeah. Or you heard a couple you really didn't like.
Yeah. I'll grant you that if you're going to do them, they better be very good. That's what I think.
Yeah. And they should not make him out to be some great fellow.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't. What do you think? It's not going to be a burn on
Yeah.
Hitler? It's always going to be. It's called punching up.
Yeah, it's such a strange, and I'll grant you that sometimes you'll. So once I think probably she heard one or two too many people who thought it was they were going to be edge. There was just edge lord she saw that probably made her mad,
Yes, probably. Before
and
we had a good for it.
that's valid because you see jackholes all the time who are like, it's I'd love to make people uncomfortable. All right, how about
Yeah.
the
Hard.
not laughing? How about the laughing? Do you like that part? Because you're
Yeah.
not doing that part.
Well, that part's hard. That's too hard to do.
Oh, I've said this before, by the way. If you ever found a comics notebook and you didn't know what it was, you could not tell the difference between that and a manifesto. You
No.
couldn't.
Yeah, maybe a manifesto would be a little more coherent.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the notes I've written, and one of them says movie catheter.
Uh-huh. I think I get it.
Yeah, uh, that seems less like a joke and just a really marketable idea.
Hold on. I am looking to see if I have that list.
Yeah, that's gonna be
I have an email from you titled, I'm working on that list.
let's see.
Oh, here it is. It's the
Oh,
next email.
oh, great.
Wow. Some shocking stuff here.
That's what I thought, and well, you've already done New York State of Mind from that list,
Right.
which was insane that it took so long for us to get to.
Insane. I
Um,
think we have to do Captain Jack.
Done. I love Let's Do Captain Jack.
That's the one that got him the record deal, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just burned some good trivia because I would not have known
I
that.
think we did that as trivia, maybe.
Maybe.
The
Wow.
DJ in Philly played Captain Jack, had some demo or something. It was like, hey, check out this cool, weird song I found. And somebody heard it and was like, that guy's pretty good.
Funny. I listen to that song and I think it's because you listen to Billy Joel so much, and then eventually he just comes, this is a thing you've heard over and over again, and then suddenly you stop for a minute and go, oh, this song is pretty weird.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a lot of those, and God bless him for it.
Oh yeah, my goodness.
Yeah,
Well,
Captain Jack.
Captain Jack will get you high to know at night. At least somebody will. That's nice. I will call that an ending.